Time for another fragrance review, or a fragrance kind of community commentary, or maybe even a social study kind of thing. But to get into this, my favorite powder, if you have a powder addiction to your craft, fragrance, whatever the fuck you're talking about, jacked off today, a powder addiction, what would I suggest if you like powder fragrances to keep this sort of relevant fragrance-wise? Well, I looked up one here because I had to remember the name. Vanille Sauvage de Madagascar Le Maison de la Vanille. If I had more money, I probably would have that one. I like that one. What did I wear in honor of Jeremy and his powder fragrance? His powder baby. His powder addiction. I wore the Acqua di Parma Mandorlo de Sicilia. If you know what I'm talking about, I wore that one recently. I also like Armani Code Profumo. I guess Back to Black is okay. Pegasus. And am I forgetting anything else? I wrote this down just in case I would forget. I was trying to think of some powder fragrances that maybe I wear sometimes. Oh yeah, and of course stuff like Le Male, Ultra Le Male, Reflection Man, whatever. Anyway, kind of a commentary. I want to do like this, like kind of like a social study thing, because Jeremy had this video talking about I'm coming out with my gay experience, and then he said a bunch of nothing. So he started saying like, I'm gonna come out with my gay experience. Well, I'm not gonna talk about it. And then he starts talking about how that rape thing, like, well, he was going to make up a lie about the person that said was raping him with the gay person he knows or something. But then it ended up not going to court, so he didn't have to lie to not get in trouble, which I don't know if it's just his fucking broken English, dude, but it was a weird way to me. Again, maybe it's broken English, but it actually kind of sounded like a way that you did rape somebody. But actually, what I just want to get about this, and I don't hate the guy, but I want to make this like socially interesting to me because I think psychology is interesting. If you recall, and it irks me because there's a guy that has the power, I think, to actually do good, if you will, and he's a bad moral example, and it bothers me as someone that, you know, if you know my story, I've been judged wrongly because of how I look many times. I mean, if you look at the video game stuff, people said I fake dying, I fake life or death stuff. People say I fake the stuff I've done in video games, all because of how I look and other bullshit, dude, right? So, ridiculous shit, right? And of course, I also have had a lot of people make up things about me because of just how I look, not just video game wise, but socially speaking. But the thing I've always said about Jeremy that bothers me is that I watch a little bit of everybody on fragrance-wise, generally speaking, I guess, a little bit. You know, it's a casual hobby, but I've delved into watching little bits and pieces of everybody. But even when I first saw him, when he was just starting, you know what I mean? You could see that he had the insecurities and kind of everything like that. You could tell he wasn't a bad guy. And there are people like Mark, and man, if you look at Mark's videos are hilarious. That it is almost, it's pathetic and tragic. You see, he looks really fucking uncool. He looked so uncool when he was trying to make fun of Jeremy at first. It was incredible how uncool he looked. And now look at his channel. It's well, I guess he has more views than me, but I mean, considering how much effort he puts into his stuff, you know what I mean? And you see almost everyone else on YouTube that is actually dedicated to their craft of fucking fragrances. You know, they've just exploded in all the shilling and all the kind of stuff. Their channels continue to go up with shilling and all this kind of bullshit, right? And of course, Jeremy has as well. And it almost makes me think that in a way, Mark is almost responsible, I think, in a ghetto kind of way for Jeremy's success, because he just looked so uncool and pathetic trying to make fun of Jeremy when Jeremy first started off. Again, I always said that I think you could always see the insecurity in Jeremy. And even in a lot of his videos, I shouldn't say a lot because I only randomly watch this stuff. I only recently saw some of these new videos because someone linked me to a Reddit and said there's like this fragrance thing on Reddit where people just make fun of people. And so I saw some of his videos again, basically. You know who you are if you're fucking watching this. I kind of abstain from watching his videos generally, but you could still see in a lot of the videos, as quirky and as weird as he's acting, you could see the insecurities and you could see that he's not such a bad guy. But in that aspect of him, like people say, oh, he's so narcissistic in that sense. There's an aspect you can see an insecurity in him that I don't think is bad. And I can identify with because, you know, I'm not a super alpha male whatsoever or anything like that. I have my own insecurities. And I know what it's like to be judged because of how you look. And that's one of the reasons that I threw my hat in there when I first defended Jeremy, because I'm like, I'm not going to talk shit about this guy, because a lot of you guys don't fucking do anything better on YouTube. A lot of you guys are just fucking reading for Granica the notes. You aren't offering anything else that Jeremy isn't doing in the first place. Okay, so stop acting like you're better than him in the first place, because obviously you're just insecure because he's good looking. But the reason I stopped watching Jeremy is because I said he started making those fucking fake videos. How he had the, oh, I have to sell all my clothes, I don't have money. Oh, fragrances are my life, I gotta sell all my clothes, I can only wear black now. And he made videos selling all his clothes. Oh, I don't have any money for fragrances anymore, let me sell all my fragrances. He showed the back of his wall and all the fragrances are gone. And and then he had a Patreon to help him get stuff. And it's just so weird, because it's like, he already at that time had so many hundreds of thousands of followers. And it's like, you're telling me with this many followers, you don't have money for fragrances? It's complete bullshit. I don't fucking believe that whatsoever. And then, of course, he came back and he had the Ferrari and, blah, blah, blah. People, and then, like, people that suck his dick are like, well, he only leased the Ferrari. It's like, I don't give a fuck if he leased the Ferrari. He made fake videos and you guys donated to him, and he's getting bigger because of it. It's like, I don't morally accept someone scamming people when he could be using his power for good. Like, power of, like, that many hundreds of thousands of followers. He has power to actually do good for the presentation or the representation of a cliche good-looking guy who maybe is going to be judged falsely, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Because you can see those quirky and nerdy aspects of him, those insecurities. And instead, in a way, psychologically, I think because Mark and so many other YouTubers looked so completely uncool while talking shit about him, it only made him look even cooler. Does that make sense? And it's almost like they gave him like a freebie, because they're like, oh, well, if so many other YouTubers made fun of him and looked uncool, But the thing is, then he used his power for like evil, basically, and he took money from the community, which is so fucked up. And then I even after that, after I stopped watching him, there was that rape thing that was coming out, and some girl posted some Snapchat shit of him trying to have sex with her. Not fucking impressed. And even I was like, you know what, dude, I got to throw my head in there, because I know what it's like. I've had girls try to say that I've done stuff with them that is just completely bullshit and insulting. I mean, I told the story before. I had some girls that were so fucking retarded, dude. I guess they must have thought they were drunk and they were messaging me on Snapchat and the messages weren't saved. And they actually forgot that they had been messaging me on Facebook and just text messaging me stuff. And I'm like, wow, you what a fucking brain fart, you fucking slut. I turned you down and you must have thought you were messaging me on Snapchat and forgot to check Facebook and, your text messages. But anyway, the point is, and of course, and you know what? If you're being honest, which I'm sure there are a lot of losers, and I'm not that cool either. I'm not saying that I'm some huge alpha male, but if you've ever talked with girls or anything like that, if you've ever actually had sex, maybe some of you've never had sex, maybe some of you've never been talked to a girl in the fragrance community, you say a lot of fucking shit. I have girls that you could look at my message right now, they want me to just jack off for them. Jack right off on me, daddy. Just right on my fucking face, dude. That's how adult conversations happen sometimes. So I wasn't impressed with those text messages, so I wasn't going to hate on the guy. But, when you start making videos talking about, and I see people defending him for it, and it's really fucked up, because this is using your power for bad. When you see someone's like, oh, well, I had these gay experiences, but I don't want to talk about them. But let me talk about this gay experience, but I don't want to talk about it. Like, who the fuck cares, dude? So you're just admitting you're like a fucking fake alpha male or something. You're not secure in your sexuality, and people are like sucking your dick when you've already scammed the community out of money. Like, it really irks, that kind of shit. I have so many faults as myself as a human being. Maybe not so many faults, but I definitely have my faults. But moral stuff, really, morally lying and everything like that, really, it irks me. I really don't like people lying about kind of stuff like that. So, and the thing is, it's so weird. It's like, dude, who the fuck cares if you've done something like, you're not exactly, I don't stereotype him as a masculine alpha male guy in the first place. Even he's a good looking guy, but he's never been like a macho kind of good looking guy when you look at him in the first place. And it's just so weird. And then you hear him talking about, like, again, maybe it's his broken English or some bullshit, dude. Yeah, and broken English. His English isn't that bad, really. You know what I mean? But when you see him talking like, oh, I was going to lie about this person so it wouldn't go to court, that's almost like, are you admitting you actually raped him? So, and then you see the comments, people are defending him like, oh yeah, we've all done bad things or something. Like, I don't think everyone's raped someone. What the fuck are you talking about? So, you know, in some of my kind of social studies and psychology vlogs, I've talked about there's something really creepy and like kind of inherently evil almost about, or just weird about society. Like, people want to forgive people that have done bad things. And a lot of times people that are actually good and have not done anything, they want to make up stuff that they're even more evil. Like, again, look at this. And again, if you look at my story in the video game community, it's absolutely insane that you have, I mean, these guys are older than me, so they must be 40 fucking years old or some bullshit, dude. Dudes still lie about stuff, about me beating them in tournaments as kids, saying I faked life or death stuff. Do you realize how fucking weird that is? When I have actually been helping the community before, I was willing to look bad to help other people in the community. That kind of stuff. So many bad things, and it's like, it irks me that I've defended a guy who has not used his power for good. And he actually gets credit then for admitting his faults, but not all the way. It's very strange to me. And it irks me morally. That's kind of my reaction video to that. I tried to make it fragrance related as well. So powdery fragrances, again, I wore that Mandro de Sicilia. I do like that one. My decant of that is almost all out. I couldn't even speak English myself. I shouldn't be talking shit about Jeremy. I barely speak English. Yeah, so there's some powdery fragrance. Powder! Again, the funny thing is, I actually don't mind those videos. I think those videos are fine because it shows him being insecure and a nerd, and it doesn't matter to me. It's like, he looks weird, whatever, blah, 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 but people having a good laugh, whatever. No harm, no foul, but when you see someone actually do bad shit and you constantly forgive them, that's a bad role model, I think, and that kind of stuff bothers me in the community. Just in life in general, actually, in the end.